Grade 8 Science, Chapter number 2, Microorganism, Friends and Foes. A very good morning, one and all. Let's start the session with Gayatri Mantra.
ॐ भूर्भुवस्वः तत्सवितुर्वरेण्यं भर्गो देवस्य धीमहि धियो यो नः प्रचोदयात्. Well, you all say the meaning with me. We meditate on that most adored Supreme Lord, the Creator, whose divine light illumines all physical, mental, and spiritual being. May this divine light illumine our intellect. Students, let us start our session with an introductory activity. In this particular activity, we are going to see how some of the microorganisms are used in food industries. Well, what we are going to do? We are going to observe the increase in volume of a dough. And for that, we need to follow certain steps. What we are going to do is, we are going to take flour, it may be wheat flour or maida, and we are going to add 2 spoons of sugar and mix it in warm water. Then we will be adding tablespoon of yeast powder, and then we will knead it to make a soft dough. Then we will put the soft dough in a container and we will leave it at a warm place for about 2 to 3 hours. Well, what are you going to see after 2 to 3 hours? Well, you may observe that there is an increase in the volume of the dough. The dough rises and looks fluffy the way as shown in the picture. Children, yeast cells are used in baking industries for making breads, pastries and cakes. For baking bread, yeast along with a little sugar is mixed with flour to make dough. This dough is kept in a warm place. During the breakdown of sugar, carbon dioxide and alcohol are formed. This process is called fermentation. The dough rises due to carbon dioxide. When this dough is used to make bread and it is baked, the carbon dioxide escapes from the loaf, making it light and fluffy. Well, yeast is also used in day-to-day life in making idlis, dhoklas and dosas. For making idli and dosa, the mixture of ground rice and dal is first allowed to stand for a few hours. Then mixture rises and becomes sour due to growth of yeast cells. Well, this way it is used in food industries in large scale. Good morning, students. How are you all? I hope you all are fine. Well, students, take a look at this picture carefully and tell me, do you think you are able to see everything in this picture? Or you are able to see all the organisms in the picture? Yes? Well, many of you would say yes, we can see all the organisms like seesaw, plank, wedge, children, animal, crossing boards, etc. But if you ask the same question to me, my answer would be no. Surprised? Yes, there are certain organisms which we cannot see in this picture, but they are present. Well, in order to see them, we need some special instruments. These special instruments are called microscopes, and the organisms which we were not able to see are known as microorganisms. So children, let's talk about microorganisms and find out other details about microorganisms. So students, let's see what we are going to have in this particular slide. Well, we will be starting our session with a small test of previous knowledge. Then we will be starting with the introduction of microorganism. Then we will be defining what are microorganisms, whether they are good or bad for us. Then we will be talking about types of microorganism with example, and then we will conclude the PPT with the role of microorganisms as friends and foes. So students, let me test your previous knowledge about this topic. Question number 1. What are microorganisms? Name any 2 microorganisms. I'm sure you have studied this in your previous class also. In grade 7 also we have studied about microorganism little bit. So I would like to ask you, what are microorganisms? Name any 2 microorganisms. Question number 2. Have you eaten mushroom? Is it a microorganism? Question number 3. What is coronavirus that you are hearing in the news these days? So children, I'm sure you are knowing some of the answers. So let's. So children, let us discuss the answers first before proceeding with the main content of the chapter. The first question was, what are microorganisms? Give two examples of microorganism. I am sure many of you would have answered this question. Well, let's define once again. The organisms which cannot be seen with our naked eyes are called microorganisms. Well, some of the examples are bacteria, viruses. You might be hearing about coronavirus these days. So what is coronavirus? It is actually a microorganism. Question number 2 was, have you eaten mushroom? Is it a microorganism? Well, the answer is yes. We often eat mushroom. Mushroom is a fungi, which is a type of microorganism. Well, the third question was, what is coronavirus that you are hearing in the news these days? Well, coronavirus is a kind of microorganism that replicates only inside the living cell. They have the capability to infect the cell and multiply quickly inside the host organism. Viruses are considered as microorganisms. They are different from other microorganisms because they reproduce only in the body of the host organisms like plants, bacteria, animals, etc. So let's define what are microorganisms. Well, the living organisms which cannot be seen with the naked eye and can only be observed through a microscope are called microorganisms or microbes. Well, children, microorganisms are present everywhere. Some live alone while others grow in groups called colonies. They are found in every kind of environment. They are found in soil, air, and in water bodies like sea, lakes, ponds. They are also found in dead and decaying organisms, and some microorganisms are even found in our bodies. Now students, let's talk about the unique features of microorganisms. Well children, microorganisms may be unicellular. That means made up of only one kind of cell. Or they may be multicellular, which means made up of many kind of cells. Well, the first scientist to describe microorganisms was a Dutch scientist, that is Anton von Leeuwenhoek. In the year 1674, he observed living cells for the first time with the help of his microscope. The science which deals with the study of microorganisms is called microbiology, and the scientists who study microorganisms are called microbiologists. Now children, here in this picture we can see a bread. Now this bread is spoiled. You might have observed that during the rainy season, moist bread gets spoiled and its surface gets covered with greenish white patches. This greenish white patch is a kind of microorganism. Yes, this greenish white patch is grown because of fungi. Now fungi is a kind of microorganism. Now you will be surprised what are the different kinds of microorganism? Let us try to find it out. So children, let's categorize microorganisms into various types. Children, microorganisms are basically of four types. The first one is bacteria, second one is algae, third is fungi, fourth one is protozoa. So children, let me give you first little bit of detail about bacteria. Now children, bacteria are very small and the simplest living organisms. They can vary in size from 0.2 to 100 macrons. Now what is macrons? Macron is a unit of measurement. Children, they are single-celled organism found in almost everywhere in every environmental condition. Now children, you can see here I have mentioned two kinds of bacteria which are different in shape. So let's first talk about their shapes. Children, bacteria are found in four different shapes. Here in the diagram also I have mentioned two shapes. Well, bacteria may be of rod shaped, they may be spherical in shape, they may be comma shaped, and they may be spiral shaped. When you go to higher classes, you will be studying about these shapes in detail. Children, the bacteria which need oxygen for their growth are called aerobic bacteria, and there are certain bacteria which do not require oxygen for their growth. That means they are called anaerobic bacteria. Anaerobic means the bacteria which do not need oxygen for their growth. The mode of nutrition in bacteria may be autotrophic or may be heterotrophic. Bacteria are generally reproduced by binary fission. Now you have already studied binary fission in previous classes. Now let's talk about algae. Children, algae is a group of simple plants. Algae in Latin means sea weeds. Weeds you have already studied. What are weeds? Weeds are the unwanted plants, right? So algae is a group of simple plants. They vary in size, shape and habitat. Some are unicellular and microscopic, while others are multicellular and can be few meters long. They have no stem, roots and leaves like other plants, but they have chlorophyll and they can make their food through photosynthesis. Some examples are algae and Chlamydomonas. Well, one more example I have given in this slide, that is Spirogyra. I repeat once again, Chlamydomonas, Spirogyra and algae. Now let's talk about fungi. Well, students, fungi is a group of diverse organisms that lack chlorophyll. That means they cannot prepare their own food. The organisms which have chlorophyll in them, they can prepare their own food. So fungi is a group of organisms that lack chlorophyll. That means they do not have chlorophyll. They generally grow in dark, warm and moist conditions. Most fungi are saprophytes. That means they feed on dead and decaying matter. Fungi are unicellular like yeast or multicellular like mushrooms. Some of the examples of fungi are bread mold, Penicillium aspergillus. Now let's talk about the fourth type, that is protozoa. Well, protozoa means first animal. Protozoa are unicellular organisms. They are included in a separate kingdom called Protista. Now you will be studying about Protista in higher classes also. They are found in ponds, lakes, rivers, seas and damp soil. Well, protozoa are either saprophytic or parasitic. Here in the diagram also you can see some of the protozoa. Amoeba, Paramecium. These are the common protozoans. Now students, let's talk about viruses. Are they not microorganisms? Because when we segregated microorganisms into various types, we didn't put viruses in that list. Why? Then what are viruses then? Well, a virus is a small infectious agent that replicates only inside the living cell of an organism. Viruses can infect all types of life forms from animals and plants to microorganisms including bacteria. Now children, one very important thing to note about about viruses is viruses cannot grow and reproduce on their own. This indicates that they are non-living. When they enter a living cell, they use the energy of the living cell to reproduce. And after reproduction of many viruses, the host cell dies and bursts. The viruses spread and invade the other cells of the body. Viruses are said to be a connecting link between living things and non-living things. Some of the examples of viruses are vaccine viruses, influenza virus, HIV virus and polio virus. Well, let me tell you some of the unique features of the viruses. Children, viruses are unique. Now, why I am saying that they are unique? Because they can exhibit the characteristics of both living and non-living things. How can they justify being living? Because when they enter inside the living cell, they behave like living organism, they reproduce, they spread the infection inside the body. But when they are outside the body, they are not so harmful. When they are outside the body, they do not show the characteristics of living organism. That's why we categorize viruses as the borderline between living and non-living things. Well, when they are outside the body, they may float in air or settle down on any surface like door, table, pen, paper, chair, mobile phone, tabletop, newspaper, floor, etc. When they come in contact with a suitable plant or animal or bacteria, they show the characteristics of living organism. Children, viruses are deadly organisms. Now, why I am saying this? Because they have the capability to infect the cell and multiply quickly inside it. They multiply at a very faster rate as compared to bacterial infection. That's why viruses are deadly. It is very difficult to cure a viral disease, and generally you might have heard when a person is suffering from viral fever, generally it takes around 4 to 5 days to recover. Yes, so it indicates that viruses take a quite longer time for its cure. They are called borderline between living and non-living things. So children, let's talk about some interesting facts about microorganism. Now, what are extremophiles? Extremophiles are the microorganisms which survive under extreme conditions. Why? Because they have adapted themselves to survive in conditions that are normally fatal. Fatal means very difficult, deadly to most of the life forms. Let's talk about the second type, that is hyperthermophiles. Now, what are hyperthermophiles? There are certain microorganisms which can resist high temperature and they can survive even in extreme climatic conditions. So these organisms are known as hyperthermophiles. They can survive temperature greater than 80 degrees Celsius to 122 degrees Celsius. What are hypoliths? Hypoliths are the microorganisms that live inside the rocks in cold deserts. What are cryophiles? Well, cryophiles are the microorganisms that grow better at temperatures below 15 degrees Celsius. They are commonly found in cold soils, in polar regions and in oceanic water. So children, let's do one very interesting icebreaker. You have to follow the instructions that has been given to you. Clap your hands, tap your feet, turn around, touch the ground, and say this 2 times. Oh microorganisms, you must stay away, we have been told. You germs are not our friends, you give us cold. I repeat once again. Clap your hands, tap your feet, turn around, touch the ground. Oh microorganisms, you must stay away, we have been told. You germs are not our friends, you give us cold. Children, let's talk about the functions of microorganisms as our friends. Well, microorganisms play important role in our lives. Some of them are beneficial in many ways, whereas some others are harmful and cause diseases. Well, in this slide, we are going to talk about microorganisms that act as our friends. Microorganisms are used for making curd from milk, for making cheese, pickles, bread, cakes, pastries, alcohol, wine, vinegar, etc. Let's first talk about some of the functions that microorganisms that do for us. First, we are going to talk about microorganisms help in making curd from milk. Children, lactobacillus bacteria help to make a curd from milk. Children, let me give you a small information. Curd is formed when a protein called casein, which is present in the milk, clumps together to form solidified mass. You know, casein, the protein which is present in milk. Casein coagulation takes place only when the milk is acidic. You know, a spoonful of curd contains the bacteria lactobacillus, which promotes the growth and formation of curd from milk. While cheese and paneer are also made by the action of bacteria. Let me give you the name of that bacteria. Streptococcus. Streptococcus is the bacteria which is used to make cheese and paneer. Children, yeasts are also used in baking industries for making breads, pastries and cake. For baking bread, yeast along with the little sugar is mixed with flour to make the dough. The dough is kept in a warm place. Well, the yeast uses sugar present in the dough as food. During the breakdown of the sugar, carbon dioxide and alcohols are formed. This process is called fermentation. The dough rises due to carbon dioxide. When this dough is used to make bread and it is baked, carbon dioxide escapes from the loaf, making the bread or the pastry product light and fluffy. Children, yeast is also used in day-to-day household food items like idli, dhokla and dosa. For making idli and dosa, the mixture of ground rice and dal is first allowed to stand for a few hours. This mixture rises and become sour due to the growth of yeast cell. Children, now let's talk about commercial use of microorganisms. See, children, microorganisms are used for large-scale production of alcohol, wine, acetic acid, etc. Yeast is used for commercial production of alcohol and wine. For this purpose, yeast is grown on natural sugars present in grain, barley, wheat, rice, and crushed fruit juices. The process of conversion of sugar into alcohol by the action of microbes like yeast is called fermentation. What it is called? Fermentation. Louis Pasteur discovered the process fermentation in the year 1857. Some bacteria are used in the production of tea, coffee and tobacco also. Children, you'll be surprised to know that some bacteria take part in the production of certain acids like lactic acid, citric acid and acetic acid, etc. Children, in this slide we are going to talk about medicinal use of microorganisms. Children, when we fall ill, the doctor gives us some antibiotic tablets, capsules or injections. Well, what are antibiotics? How are they produced? Children, the medicines produced by living organisms such as bacteria and fungi which kill or stop the growth of disease causing microorganisms, that is pathogen present in our body, are called antibiotics. The source of these antibiotic medicines are microorganisms only. These days, a large number of antibiotics are produced from bacteria and fungi. Some of the common examples of antibiotics which you normally find in your houses are streptomycin, tetracycline, aueromycin, chloromycetin. These are some of the commonly known antibiotics which are made from fungi and bacteria. Children, let me give you a small information. The first antibiotic was penicillin. The first antibiotic was penicillin, which was prepared by a fungus called Penicillium notatum. What was the name? Penicillium notatum. Children, antibiotics are also mixed with the feed of livestock and poultry to check microbial infection in animals. Antibiotics are also used to control many plant diseases. Well, children, precautions should be taken while using antibiotics. Now, why I am saying this? Because antibiotics, when they are taken in excess quantity, they may be harmful for our body. Children, antibiotics should always be taken only on the advice of a qualified doctor. We must complete the entire dose of antibiotics prescribed by the doctor. Now, this completely destroys the disease-causing microorganisms in our body. We may fall ill if we do not complete the course. Children, we should also not take antibiotics when not needed, or we should not take antibiotics without the prescription of the doctor, because it may make the antibiotic drug less effective when we might really need in future. Children, when antibiotics are taken unnecessarily, they may kill the beneficial bacteria in our body. Well, antibiotics should not be taken when we are suffering from cold and flu, because they are caused by viruses. This is because antibiotics are not effective against disease caused by viruses. Children, microorganisms are used in the production of vaccines which protect humans and other animals against several diseases by providing immunity against the concerned disease. Children, in this slide we are going to talk about how microorganisms play a very important role in increasing the soil fertility. Children, in the previous classes we have studied about the microorganism Rhizobium bacteria. Well, these rhizobium bacteria are present in the root nodules of the leguminous plant. This rhizobium bacteria absorbs nitrogen gas from the atmosphere and convert it into simple nitrogenous compounds called nitrates. Children, after harvesting, when the roots decompose, these nitrates present in the root nodules mix with the soil and enrich it with nitrogenous compounds and hence increase the soil fertility. While some bacteria and blue-green algae living in the soil also fix atmospheric nitrogen as nitrates. These microbes are commonly called biological nitrogen fixers. What are they called? Biological nitrogen fixers. Children, in this slide, we are going to talk about how microorganisms play important role in cleaning the environment. Children, you often see large amount of dead organic matter in the form of decaying plants and sometimes dead animals on the ground. You find that they disappear after some time. This is because the microorganisms decompose the dead organic waste of plants and animals and convert them into simple soluble substance. Children, these microorganisms decompose dead organic wastes of plants and animals by converting them into harmless, simple substances which are restored to the soil and increase its fertility. In the absence of these microorganisms, the piles of dead organisms would have covered the earth. Some bacteria decompose sewage and other wastes of water. This is a natural method to keep water clean. In this way, they help in cleaning our environment. Now students, we are going to talk about the functions of microorganisms as foes. Foes means enemy. So we are going to talk about how microorganisms are harmful for us. Well children, microorganisms are harmful for us in many ways. Let's study their harmful effects. First, we are going to talk about microorganisms that cause diseases. So let's define pathogens. Now, what are pathogens? The disease-causing microorganisms are called pathogens. Children, pathogens can enter our body through the air we breathe, the water we drink, or the food we eat. They also get transmitted by direct contact with an infected person or carried through animals. Children, microbial disease that can spread from an infected person to a healthy person through air, water, food, or physical contact or by animals are called communicable diseases. The examples of such communicable diseases are cholera, common cold, chickenpox, and tuberculosis. Children, when a person is suffering from common cold, sneezes, fine droplets of moisture carrying thousands of viruses are spread in the air. These viruses may enter the body of a healthy person while breathing. So we should be very careful. If a person is suffering from any kind of disease, then we should keep a distance so that the disease do not get transferred to our body. So children, let's talk about disease causing microorganisms in animals. Well children, till now we have already studied that microorganisms not only cause disease in humans and plants but also in other animals. For example, anthrax. Now anthrax is a dangerous human and cattle disease caused by a bacterium. Foot and mouth disease of cattle is caused by virus. Children, Robert Koch was in the year 1876 discovered the bacterium Bacillus anthracis which causes anthrax disease. So children, in this particular slide we are going to see a table in which we are going to find out certain human disease caused by microorganisms, what is the mode of transmission, what are the causative organism, and finally what are the preventive measures that we can take to avoid such diseases. Let's first talk about human diseases. There are 4 types of human disease given in the table, that is tuberculosis, measles, chickenpox and polio. Let's first talk about tuberculosis. It is caused by bacteria and it is generally transmitted through air. Measles, which is caused by virus and again it is transmitted through air. Chickenpox, which is caused by virus and it is caused by air and physical contact. Polio, which is caused by virus, again it is caused by air. The mode of transmission is air or by physical contact. So what is the preventive measure that we can take? Keep the patient in complete isolation. Keep the personal belongings of the patient away from those of the others. Vaccination to be given at the suitable age. Now you have already studied about polio vaccination is given during early childhood. Yes, chickenpox vaccination is also there, measles and tuberculosis vaccinations. Now these vaccinations are already given in the early childhood of the child. You might ask your parents, they have also vaccinated you with this kind of microorganisms. Next, human disease, that is cholera and typhoid. Both the disease are caused by bacteria. Which microorganism? Bacteria. Now, how are they transmitted? Cholera is transmitted by having unhygienic water or food, whereas typhoid is caused by bacteria, which is caused by unhygienic water. Now, how can we prevent it? Maintain personal hygiene and good sanitary habits, consume properly cooked food, boil drinking water, and by vaccination we can get it corrected. Now, the next human disease is hepatitis B. It is caused by virus. The mode of transmission is water. How can we prevent it? Drinking boiled water and by vaccination. And the next is malaria. It is caused by protozoa. Remember, we have studied the type of microorganism protozoa. How it is transmitted? Through mosquito. It is caused by the bite of mosquito. How can we prevent it? Use mosquito net and repellents, spray insecticides, and control breeding of mosquitoes by not allowing water to collect in surroundings. Children, let's talk about microorganisms that causes disease in plants. Children, well, there are several microorganisms that cause disease in plants like wheat, rice, potato, sugar cane, apples, oranges, cotton and jute, etc. You know, the diseases reduce the yield of crops. If the plant is suffering from any kind of disease, then the productivity also decreases. The plant diseases are transmitted through seeds, air and soil. Some of the common diseases affecting the plants are shown in the next table in the next slide. So children, let's talk about the microorganism causing disease in plants. Let's talk about microorganism virus. Children, virus cause a plant disease called tobacco mosaic virus in tobacco leaves. What are the symptoms? You can see in the diagram, appearance of uneven spots and discoloration on the leaf is the symptom of this disease. Next microorganism that causes disease is bacteria. Now this bacteria causes disease in citrus fruits. What is the name of the disease? It is called citrus canker. Now what are the symptoms of this disease? You can see in the diagram also some lesions on leaves are formed, stems and fruits with raisin browned water soaked margins. You can see uneven surfaces formed on the surface of the fruit. Let's talk about fungus. Fungus causes a disease called rust of wheat in wheat plants. What are the symptoms? Diseased plants show rust-colored orange patches on the infected plant parts. Let's talk about the next microorganism, that is fungus. Well, fungus cause a disease in rice plant called smut of rice. What is called? Smut of rice. Now, what are the symptoms of this disease? Some smut balls in the grains that become greenish black, then burst and infect other grains. Children, well, plant diseases can be controlled. They can be controlled by spraying chemicals which kill the microbes or infected parts of the plant. But children, we should be aware that whenever any farmer is applying such kind of sprays, they should cover their mouth while spraying, because when they spray, the fumes of the chemical can be inhaled by the farmers. In such cases, they may suffer from various kinds of disease. So we should be highly careful while spraying chemicals in plants. So children, let's try to answer the following questions now on the basis of our understanding. Question number 1. What are antibiotics? Question number 2. Name the mosquito that causes malaria and dengue. Question number 3. What are pathogens? Question number 4. Name the bacteria that converts milk into curd. Question number 5. Name the microorganism that is used in commercial purpose for making alcohol. Question number 6. What is fermentation? Question number 7. What is bioaugmentation? I'm sure children you might have answered all the questions correctly. Chalo, let us now discuss the answers so that everybody knows the correct answer. Question number 1 was, what are antibiotics? Well, chemicals produced by microorganisms that kill or inhibit the growth of other harmful microorganisms are called antibiotic. Yes, you guessed it right. Question number 2 was, name the mosquito that causes malaria and dengue. Well, malaria is caused by female Anopheles mosquito and dengue is caused by Aedes mosquito. Question number 3 was, what are pathogens? Well, the right answer is, disease causing microorganisms are called pathogens. Question number 4 was, name the bacteria that converts milk into curd. Well, children, this question is very important. Why? Because this question is generally asked in the board exam as well. The answer is lactobacillus. It is a bacteria that converts milk into curd. Question number 5 was, name the microorganisms that is used in commercial purpose for making alcohol. Well, the right answer is yeast. Question number 6 was, what is fermentation? Children, we already studied the commercial production of alcohol using yeast is known as fermentation. The process of conversion of sugar into alcohol is called fermentation. Question number 7 is, what is bioaugmentation? Children, well, the process of treatment of sewage using microorganism, that is bacteria, is called bioaugmentation. Children, this is a small mind map through which you can summarize the entire chapter. Let's see the numerical figure number 1, that is major groups of microorganisms. We studied bacteria, viruses, algae, fungi and protozoa. Let's talk about point number 2, that is useful microorganisms. We studied usefulness of microorganisms in making food items, making commercial products, production of medicines, increasing soil fertility, example rhizobium. And then we studied how microorganisms are helpful in cleaning the environment by decomposing dead organic matter. Let's talk about point number 3. We spoke about harmful microorganisms also. So this is a small mind map which will be really helpful for you to summarize the chapter in a very quick manner.